My name's Christian Smedberg. I'm the marketing manager here at Wine & Culture USA. I'm coming to you with Travis Richardson, who you guys probably just saw in a demo at the Ripsaw. Thanks, Travis, for coming up here to the desk.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah, we have some some unfinished business, I think, because that demo at the Ripsaw today was great, and you covered a lot of information. But I got some questions, and I was hoping we could really get into the weeds.
Sure.
Yeah?
Perfect.
All right, cool. First of all, this was your first online live demo, right?
That's right. That's
yeah?
right.
How did it go for you?
It was I wouldn't say I was nervous at first, but I just didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know what to expect. It was very casual. I enjoyed it. And there were some points that I did miss, and I'm glad we're doing this wrap up too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Find out what I missed.
Right. Well, we'll just kind of go through some points. So I want to talk about, and everyone out here, this is what we're going to be covering today in this video. Okay, the difference between rip optimization and just basic gang rip.
Okay.
Okay, and I want to get more into that. Also, you covered on the fixed blade on the arbor, you covered what you called a pocket, and I was a little bit lost with that. So I want to really expound on that. Also, that Outfeed monitor was super cool, and I'm wondering if we can get more in depth in talking about that.
Sure.
Also, we talked about I also want to cover the chain, because we talked about the chain a lot, and I want you to just kind of go into some preventive maintenance measures that guys can take if they're having issues with the chain, or just to prevent issues with that chain.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's see. Oh, you covered this random width. So your saw is looking for different widths. That Ripsaw is cutting along for cutting for certain widths, but then you can also say that you want some random widths. Give it a cap, give it a bottom, and it can look. So dive into that one a little bit more. And last but not least, you touched on value-based optimizing, which I know is something that a lot of you guys do out there, and we'll just talk more about that. Okay. All right, so that's what I want to run through in this little debrief. And also, Travis, what did you bring here? What is this? So, Travis brought a prop to the desk.
One of the items that I didn't talk a lot about was our cut quality. So on a lot of ripsaws, not on everybody's ripsaw, but a lot of people that do edge gluing, the cut quality is critical to the process after ripping. So at the gluer. So we want a nice edge that when you glue, you're going to have a really nice
clean
glue
edge,
line.
Right?
Yep.
Oh, right, because because if the cut quality is poor, then that glue line is going to be large. Maybe it'll have gaps, etc.
That's right. That's
okay.
right.
All right. Yep.
So the important thing is that we get good adhesion at the glue reel or RF gluer,
right?
And you don't want too deep of a kerf mark on the side of the board.
Okay.
Because what happens is when you go to finish, the little marks end up showing up right when you finish.
Oh,
and
when you
have
finish,
a panel.
right? Sure.
Then you have a lot of rework. So the important part is, number one, of course, is the saw blades. You have to have the proper saw blade, and we have blades that we recommend that we use on our machines to guarantee that glue line. But what we also have is this pressure plate here. The pressure plate is how the material is held down. So your material is actually going to run underneath. Okay?
Okay.
And your blades, your moving blades are in this area right here.
In this hollowed out area here?
Yep, so they're moving in. Yep. And this would be fixed blades here.
Okay, right, sure. That makes
sense.
sense.
The more you can hold down the material, the more hold down you have.
Yes. The better the cut quality?
The better the cut quality is going to be.
Okay,
and that is critical for a glue line.
Okay. Yep. Okay, I see. So, so what is this? What is this made out of?
This one in particular is made of phenolic.
Okay.
But we also make them out of aluminum.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's all kinds of different materials we use. We've had some plastic ones in the past, but this seems to be the most robust.
The phenolic one.
Yeah, for the machines. Aluminum is a little bit better, but they can be a little more expensive. This is a great middle of the road product to use. Yeah.
Okay. So again, making sure that material is held down is going to increase that cut quality. It's going to give you a nicer edge.
Exactly.
That's right. All right. Very good. Well, thanks for bringing this
pressure plate.
This pressure plate to the desk.
You're welcome.
Today. All right, so let's talk about rip optimization. We just saw on the pressure plate. So the Ripsaw that we demoed earlier today had two moving blades.
It did.
Okay, and then it had a fixed blade as well. So that allows us to do rip optimization rather than just regular gang ripping, right? Can you talk about the difference between the two a little bit?
Yeah, so gang rip saws, and we do sell gang rip saws as well, where there's no moving blades. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is that you set your arbor up, your blades stay in place. Okay? And then when you decide to change the blades, you have to change the pockets, you have to stop the machine, move your blades in a new position,
right,
and start it back up. And there's a place for gang rip applications.
Sure.
But if you have bringing in random width lumber and you have a lot of sizes you have to cut, that's when the moving blades helps a lot.
So if your downstream operations are requiring a lot of different sizes, then this helps tremendously, I would think.
Definitely, because really with a gang rips, you can optimize, but you optimize by actually culling through your lumber. So you're going through your random width boards and you're finding the board that's going to fit best on that solution, which is a lot of labor, a lot of time.
Right, it's a lot of time.
And really slows down the process.
Sure, absolutely. Instead of doing it basically board by board as they're going into the machine.
That's right.
Yeah, or actually with what we saw today, really the operator's not even doing that. It's letting the compact and the valley rip do it together.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Right. Okay, so that's the main difference there, is that the gang rip is just that fixed position.
That's right.
It's not board by board. It's not looking for a solution. It's giving you that solution.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. All right. So that kind of brings us to the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about the pocket earlier today, and that is the piece of wood that the fixed blade is cutting. Is that right?
So the pocket. So earlier during the demonstration, we just had one fixed blade. Mm-hmm. And then we had two moving blades.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So if we were to add a second fixed blade,
yes,
then we would have a fixed pocket on there.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Yep. Sure.
So one thing that does is it increases the amount of strips that you can rip in one pass.
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So some examples of when an individual would set up fixed pockets would be if they needed a lot of 2-inch boards.
Right.
Let's say they need to rip a lot of 2-inch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it might make sense to set two 2-inch pockets on there.
Okay.
And then allow your two moving blades to get a piece of 2-inch.
To optimize other things, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Or maybe even the outside blade would get a piece of random for your edge glue.
All right, sure.
So if your cut list has a lot of small sizes on there,
mm-hmm.
sometimes it's good to add fixed pockets.
I see.
Because the object is, with a moving blade rip saw, is to send it through the board through one time and don't pass it back. You want a one hit through and done.
Sure.
That way you're only handling the material one time.
Sure. So it only has to go run through one time. You don't want to rip a piece and then rip one of the pieces that came out from that.
That's right.
That's what you're saying.
You don't want to have to bring the piece of off-fall back around and rip it again because you just wasted time.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that kind of brings me to my next point. We saw on the Outfeed monitor.
Sure.
So tell us about that. I thought that was very cool. It was giving a really nice and large visual representation of what the saw just spit out.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of take us through in a regular shop application. How is that helpful?
Yep. So as you look at that Outfeed monitor, at first glance, it just looks like, well, that's very nice. It's a good option. It's a good thing to be able to see what you're cutting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really look back, this is going to be a long story here. But as out of my 13 years, when I was a technician, going into shops all throughout North America,
mm-hmm.
you always saw guys with worn out tape measures measuring boards after they're ripped.
After they come out.
Yeah.
All right.
I've even gotten to the point where the guys have go no go gauges, which is a gauge that slides on top of the board so they can make sure it gets into the right pile.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
So they're sorting lumber. They've got 10 or 15 different sizes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And with those 10 or 15 different sizes, they're tallying each of those.
Okay. Right.
Okay?
Sure.
So if one board ends up in the wrong stack,
it
causes a huge problem downstream at the molder.
Yep, because they're trying to feed the wrong width into the molder.
That's right.
Okay.
So then the board comes out. It doesn't make the profile it needs to make.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then what happens is they have to get more wood ripped and interfere with the process of the next job that's being done.
Sure.
So that's what it is. So the beauty of a moving blade rip saw, is the yield improvements.
Okay.
But yield improvements means lots of sizes, which thus creates chaos. right?
Right, because
so we're trying to manage our chaos with the Outfeed monitor.
I see. Because a lot of times you're not just ripping a piece that's 2 inches and 6 inches. You're ripping 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/2.
Exactly.
When that stuff's coming out, you're having to constantly check to see what pile that goes into.
You're exactly right.
Okay.
And it's difficult when boards are coming at you. It's
Sure.
6 to 10 boards raw coming in, which could be 3 strips coming out.
That's right.
So
That's right. Sure.
18 strips a minute. You can't take your tape measure and put it on every board. You have to go and hustle.
So on that monitor, so it kind of talk through how that's helpful to the guy that's outfeeding that saw. Like on that monitor, it tells you every strip's width. Is that right?
That's right. But it can even do more than that. What it could also do is with our InVision or MillVision software, or as actually on a standalone machine, you can actually have text that's printed on that board.
Printed?
I'm sorry, on the monitor.
Oh, on the monitor. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So you might be ripping 2 inch for job 145.
Yeah. Okay.
But you might also be ripping 2 inch for job 369. So it will actually even tell you 2 inch job 369 to know that you need to put that board over there. So you don't end up with a big stack of 2 inch and then have to figure it out later.
Then you have to separate it later.
That's right.
So now you're actually able to separate the jobs right from, even though they're the same, it's the same width material.
Same width material, that's right.
So the monitor can tell you what job that strip is for.
That's right.
All while optimizing at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And you can even take it a step further where we could actually print on the board information.
Right.
So any type of information that you're looking for that helps the downstream process.
Yep.
The idea is not to make a bunch of parts and figure it out.
Right.
It is, as you make a part, know where it's going to go.
Well, have the machine tell you where it's going to go next.
That's right. Because the machine knows.
Right, because the machine knows. Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So with that monitor on the Outfeed that we saw, so it can give you a lot. I saw it was giving you yield information per board. Right. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, so it gives you yield information per board. It gives you the width of the boards, but it can also even give you the job that board belongs to.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a neat option.
It
Absolutely.
It's great.
Now you said that you've known some shops to use it. I mean, you want to share any success stories with that? I mean, people are embracing it?
Yeah, it's been a good product for us. In all reality, when you end up purchasing a rip saw and you don't have an Outfeed monitor of some sorts, you quickly find out what kind of benefit it is.
Okay,
I mean, if you're a flooring shop and you're ripping
gotcha.
1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch, you don't really necessarily need something like that.
Okay, right, sure.
But
sure.
But if you have a lot of close sizes, it can be of great benefit.
Yeah. And one of those benefits that you figure out afterwards.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
All right. So moving on. So I also wanted to talk about I want to talk about the feed chain, but before we go into that, because I think we can dovetail this nicely. The random width.
Okay.
So we can tell the machine, we can tell the rip saw that I need random widths that are between this width and that width.
That's
right?
correct. Yep.
Okay. So first of all, tell everybody again, why is that even a thing? Why is that important?
So the random really helps us pick up fiber yield on the board. So we'll take a cabinet shop, for example.
Let's do it. Okay.
So a cabinet shop, a typical setup that you'd see is two fixed blades at 2 5/8.
Okay. Yep.
All right.
Sure.
And then you would have two moving blades picking up the rest of their sizes, whatever they are.
Okay.
All right. There'd be a few, they call them fixed widths.
Yep.
And then we would also have a piece of random. So the idea is to set a range, we'll say from 2 inches to 5 inches.
Right. Okay.
2 inches to 4 inches, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And once you pick up all of your fixed widths, then you pick up that piece of random to maximize the board yield.
Right.
Then later downstream, those randoms are cut to length and then glued into panels.
Okay, I see.
And it could be a center panel.
Yep.
Another common one would be stair treads.
Okay.
Right. Things like that.
Right.
So
sure.
you want your stave to be within a certain range, so it kind of blends together.
Of course, you don't want it to be too narrow or too wide.
That's right.
So, but the importance of randoms when it comes to actual yield is that it's giving more options to the saw.
That's right.
But then the importance to the actual shop is then they're using those pieces mainly in glue-up panels.
Typically, it's in glue-up panels. That's right.
Okay. All right.
But there's another way that we can use a random, and it's usually when we're getting into the larger saws.
Okay.
But a lot of lumber yards will do an S4S or a straight line rip one edge.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So straight line rip one edge is they bring up lumber, then they'll rip one edge of it, and then sell little packs of lumber with a straight line on it. The straight line is typically used for a lot of different things, but a lot of smaller shops will then use that to put it on their table saw. So they've got a nice straight edge, so they can rip the widths they want.
That's exactly right.
Right?
Right.
But what we can do with the random now is do straight line rip two edges.
Right. Okay.
So we can rip both edges out.
Right. Okay.
And then when that board goes to a cabinet shop, they can choose which side they put against.
They have more options. It's a bit of a higher value to them because they have more options to utilize.
That's right. And on one of our saws, utilizing a random, there's no extra labor that goes into that. You don't have to go down the straight line like with a conventional straight line rip saw and rip both edges to get that. It's still one pass.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Right. So that clears up randoms. All right, let's go into a little bit more about the maintenance of the machine. I love that we went into the back of the machine earlier today. Really talked about how those movable blades are actually moving.
Sure.
And that was real neat. Your technician days really came out there.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's definitely been a while.
Right. How long were you a technician for?
13 years.
13 years.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. On the road for most of them, right?
All of them.
All of them.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So you installed a few of these.
I have.
Okay. So all right. So that chain, that's feeding that saw. All right. How are people supposed to take care of that?
All right. So the biggest items that we do on that is every day you're supposed to blow off the top of the chain.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Okay.
And then once a week you take the front panel off the bottom of the saw, and you're going to blow off the bottom of the chain.
Okay.
And at that point, you need to verify that their 4 oil points are getting oil. All right. So there's 2 what we call dip, the pins for the dip.
Yep.
And then 2 V-ways.
Okay.
And then just if all those are nice and oiled, you put it back together and you're good.
So it doesn't sound like a ton of work, but it happens frequently.
Yeah.
You're once a day and you're once a week, you said?
That's right. Once a week on the bottom,
right,
and every day on the top. That's what I always train guys to do.
Okay. All right. And then that should prolong the life of that chain.
That's right.
All right. All right. Very good. Okay, so Travis, we also talked about on the actual controller of the saw, we talked about value-based optimizing.
Right.
Right. Okay. So I think this is something that I think a lot of our customers are already familiar with it.
Sure.
But I also think that folks that are just starting to get into optimization and also ones that are trying to take that first step into optimization, explain to them what actually is value-based optimization.
Sure. So after we got done with the video earlier, I noticed that my explanation probably wasn't as clear as it could have been. But so
That's okay.
I thought
That's
of a different way to explain it, and we can do it when we're talking about flooring, we'll say. Let's say a flooring shop.
All right. Sure.
All right. So flooring shops is pretty easy because they're typically in 1 inch increments. So they'll rip 3 1/4, 4 1/4, 5 1/4,
right,
6 1/4, 7 1/4. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So the idea in flooring typically is the wider the board you can rip, the more it's worth.
All right. Okay. Sure. Makes sense. Sure.
So let's look at take that for an example. So if a board comes down that is 6 inches wide.
Yep.
All right. Or 6.5 inches. We'll call it 7 inches wide.
Okay. 7 inches.
You don't want to get 2 pieces of 3 1/4. You'd much rather get the 6 1/4.
Oh, the 6 1/4. Right. Sure. Okay. Yep.
Because that's going to be worth more money.
Yep.
All right. So if everything in your optimization is based on 100%, it would always go over after 2 pieces of 3 1/4 because it's better fiber yield.
Yep. Sure.
Right.
Yes.
But a piece of 6 1/4 is worth more money.
Yes.
So you would want to get a piece of 6 1/4.
Yep. So the width is actually increasing the value not per quarter inch of width,
That's
but
right.
actually almost exponentially. So it's almost like a curve instead of a straight line.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So you would have a higher value on 6 1/4, and therefore when a 7-inch board came down, the machine automatically defaults to go for the 6 1/4 versus 2 pieces of 3 1/4.
Of 3 1/4.
Even though it's more fiber yield at 2 pieces of 3 1/4. And that's why it's kind of a dollar-based optimizing, because you can base things on how much money you're going to make.
Well, that's where I was just going to go with
products.
that, because this is now making sense to me. I'm sure it's already made plenty of sense to everyone who's been working with this. But so then how does our system of value-based optimization, then how does it come in and assist the actual operator? Then?
Yep.
So you can actually assign values to every width?
That's right. So an operator can assign a value if it's just a standalone saw.
Okay.
But if you incorporate MillVision or InVision into this, it can assist in valuing some of those different widths.
All right. Okay.
And lengths on a crosscut. So a crosscut saw is very similar on how the optimization works, but instead of going for width, we're now looking at length.
Right. Sure. So, and real quick, so we've mentioned InVision and MillVision a couple times. You want to just take people through a real quick. MillVision and InVision are software packages that we sell here at Wine&Culture USA.
Sure.
MillVision mainly for
the rip and chop.
Rip and chop. Yep.
Typically.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And InVision is an entire suite of tools that will that can really parametric joinery, optimization when it comes to panel processing or solid wood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's basically software designed to help you run your shop.
Absolutely.
No matter what you do, whether
Right.
you're making cabinets or furniture.
Yep.
It's a one-stop shop where we can come out of a central database or design and export cut lists to all machines, and then track inventory and material as it flows, trying to reduce WIP, trying to reduce inventory, and trying to do a true just-in-time. It's
absolutely
take the order today. We've got some applications out there where we'll say it's cabinet doors, for example, is one of them.
Okay. Yep.
And from order to in-hand product on a 5-piece raised panel door is within a matter of 2 hours, 3 hours.
Right. So, Travis, as far as rip saws go, you've been around them a long time. I mean, there was a wealth of knowledge both earlier in the demo. If you guys have not seen the actual demo, check it out in the video archives. It was posted earlier today. We went live around 2 o'clock Eastern time, and so check it out. And then this talk has been good. I think we cleared up some stuff and we really expounded on some other things, and so this has been good. So really, real quick before I let you go, so you've done a lot of installs. You've seen a lot of rip saws in application. I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
Pick one of your favorites. Pick one of your favorite applications. Yeah.
Favorite applications?
Yeah, sure. Favorite shops that you've been in.
Well, I won't name anybody
okay, that's
in
fine,
particular,
that's fine.
but we did have an individual. We got off to a really good start with one saw. He quickly grew to a big KR450 rip saw with an in-feed.
Okay.
And he's just one of the guys that you really, you make friends with some of the people as you do this over the years.
Sure.
And so as he grew, it was one of the guys that I was really rooting for. And in the end, he ended up with 5 KR450s, a scanner line, 2 of those saws, and 3 value rips. Okay. That's just on the ripping equipment. And it's just a testament. And he was a good customer and a great person. And, it's one of those guys you want all your customers to do well,
absolutely,
but you really get invested in a couple of the shops.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
Really pull for them.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I know that. So these shops they invest in our equipment. We then invest in them. Yep. We back it up with service, with parts. We had Frank Horn on a couple days ago, last week I think, and we were talking about field service and how, especially in the current COVID-19 situation, that our field service techs have been awesome. They have been. I mean, talk about just being able to accommodate our customers.
Sure.
Having to go in after hours on Saturdays and Sundays just because a lot of production shops just aren't the same environment as they were before COVID-19.
You got that right. It's a new world out there.
It is.
We're doing all we can to assist our customers.
Absolutely. And so many of our customers, so many people watching today, they're essential. They're essential
That's right.
For things to be up and running in this country, and it's been great to be able to support them, come
Sure.
alongside them. All right, so everyone, listen. If you have any questions for Travis or about ripsaws, put them in the feed. Put them in the comments of this video. We'll put a couple helpful links to ripsaw pages on our website, and a couple other links to some parts that go onto ripsaws, in case any of you are wondering about this or various other things. So check out the description, put your comments in the feed. Make sure you check out our Facebook channel for more live videos, more live demos. Every week we put them out there. Travis, thanks a lot, buddy.
You're welcome, Christian.
Yeah, always good seeing you. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thanks.